it may have been in the book or on a YouTube video I had watched. You had talked about agreements versus demands. And that just resonated so much with me. And you had used a restaurant as an example, I think, to easily show what the difference is between the two. Could you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, the restaurant is a Cialdini reference, and then I'll make it a little more corporate. But the basic idea with the restaurant reference is that they tested this idea out that, when you call in for a reservation, we'll say, "Hey TJ, we got you down for a table of 4 at 7:30. Call us if anything changes." You say, "Great," right? And then you don't call. And the subtlety there is that it was a command, and you never really agreed to it. You're like, I didn't really agree. That's what subconsciously is going on in the mind. But when they changed the language, because culture exists in language, and they changed it to, "Hey TJ, we got you down for a table of 4 at 7:30. Would you please call us if there are any changes?" So now there's not a command, there's an invitation. And now I'm waiting for an answer. I'm waiting, and you say, "Yes." Okay, great, thank you. And in that test, the calls went up by 80%. Why? Because there was an invitation to opt in, and then a confirmation, and now you suddenly have to be in alignment with you because you weren't commanded to do something. So the way this applies to corporate is I'll find a trust example, and somebody will tell me, and I'll say, "Tell me the exact language you said." And they said, "Could you get me this in 2 weeks?" Right? So it's kind of an invitation. It's asking about a capability. It's not would you, it's could you. So that's on the fence there. But then the guy responded. I said, "What did he respond with?" He said, "That should work." Now that, as we all know, is not actual agreement. When you say, "I should be there by 4, you're not agreeing. You're by no means promising to be there by 4. You're saying, should everything work out in my favor and I get my stuff done on time and traffic's fine, all this stuff, I should be there by 4. That's not true agreement. So that's why it's simple engineering, hacking of the language and culture to an invitation with a clear opt-in. And mind you, there has to be safety too, because if you're working for me and I say, "Hey TJ, would you please get me these graphics in 2 weeks?" And you say, "Yeah." Then I go, "Hold on, TJ, you sound a little shaky on that. Let's talk. Tell me what's going on." And you say, "Well, I don't know if I'm going to get this image from John." And I said, "Okay, well, let's just assume that John gets you it by tomorrow. If I can get that by tomorrow, will you have this to me in 2 weeks?" And you go, "Yeah." And that's how we workshop it if there's hesitation. But people need to be able to say maybe, or even say no, where you say no. And I say, "Hold on, I got to see your to-do list, because if you don't have time for this, I want to see what else you're working on." And then we workshop it and we say, "Okay, well, take this off. I don't really even need you to do that anymore. Can you take that off?" And you're like, "Great." And then that's how it becomes true agreement.
I love that idea so much because, in fact, this is such a timely conversation. Earlier in the week, my business partner and I were together. We had the leadership team, and part of the conversation that came up is I was sharing some stuff that's going on. So what am I missing? It seems like for multiple different conversations I'm in, I thought we had an agreement that so-and-so would be done by a certain timeline or day, and it seems like most of the time they're getting missed. And it could be, with 40 people in the company, it could be across the company. So it must be on me. What am I doing wrong? And so this idea of the agreement versus a demand, instead of saying, "I need this by Friday," or just spend 5 hours on it, and then kind of walking away from the conversation and not really making sure we have their buy-in, I guess.
Yeah, I love that, because it also plays with specificity, as we talked about, in clarity in the beginning, right? Because you can say there's certain terms I use now with companies. One is DOD, definition of done. Like, how will I know it's done? Is this a full done PowerPoint? Is it an outline? What is it? What are we agreeing even to the definition of done?
Love that.
And once we go to that, SOS, standard of success. What makes this great? What would make a crappy PowerPoint versus a good one? Tell me that. And you're like, "Well, I don't want a lot of words. I just want some images. I want to make sure it's less than 10 slides. Okay, got it. Now we're way closer to getting you what you want. Right? And then MTM is measures that matter. Is there a certain measurement you want? Are we going for it? Is there some type of goal with that? What level of feedback do you want? Do you want me to show you every week what I'm working on? Do you want me to just deliver it? Do you want me to just send it to the client without you even seeing it? What level are you involved in this deliverable? Right? So these are all layers of clarity that are often are not specified.
Yeah.
And without clarity, then you get disappointment.
Yes. And I had heard before, like expectation, right? If your expectation, it's that gap between what actually happened and expectation. And did you even communicate what the expectation was?